How's it going, guys? Alberto BIGBOOST here again. I got a pretty cool video today of another very important part that you need to install on a Bmw E36 or E46 chassis. I received a care package from SIKKY Manufacturing today. And these are some goodies, but my main part will be right here. This is a steering shaft upgrade for the E36. This is a steel steering shaft with U-joints on both sides. This replaces the factory aluminum steering shaft that has a rubber bushing that tends to fail on these cars, which will cause you to either have smooshed steering wheel or can cause to disconnect completely and lose total steering from the car. Which that will be a very, very scary situation. I don't want that to happen anywhere, either drifting or regular driving. That's why I got this. But I really want to see what's inside this goodie bag. What do we have here? We got some stickers and SIKKY koozies. Those are, I see those everywhere. The typical green SIKKY koozies. You've seen them all over the trucks. A lot of people using their products in drifting. And let's see what else is here. I got a SIKKY shirt. Let me see what this looks like. Did I get my size? I can't find which. Oh, here's the top. Here we go. Oh, still nothing. Here we go. So that's a SIKKY Manufacturing t-shirt. I like the little flag thing on the side. Hashtag get SIKKY. If I'm not mistaken, they have not released this shirt yet, and they will be releasing it after this video. So nobody has this shirt. I'm gonna be the first one wearing it. Which I will go from this to this. It looks pretty cool. It looks like a superhero shirt. This will hold to some BIGBOOST. This is what the shaft looks like fully assembled. This part it's a three-piece system. So it has these U-joints, and then it has a like rectangle shaped shaft which goes into this, and it gets locked in by the screws. There we go. So now you can adjust the length wherever it fits, comfortable, and then you lock it in place. Now to remove the stock shaft, since in my case I'm turbocharged, I'm gonna have to remove the cold side pipe. So I'll have to disconnect the air intake temperature sensor. In my case, which will be very different in your car, I have to disconnect the blow valve so I can leave the hose hanging. Disconnect the intake pipe, and on the other side, and then the steering shaft is gonna be all the way below this, down here somewhere, if you can see it. Oh wait, there it is. Disconnect the blow valve first. I gotta make sure to not lose this little sealing washers. If not, it will not work. Then I disconnect the throttle body, and I gotta go all the way down here and disconnect the intercooler pipe by the intercooler. Remove this from here, and bottom. Whole pipe comes off, one piece construction. And now I can see the steering shaft. Now with my little light, you can see that there's a U-joint all the way up here. And I'm gonna have to remove the connecting nut over there. And then on the bottom, we're trying to shine the light the right way. Ah, there we go. There's that U-joint down there, which I can probably see better from the bottom. Or from right here. There we go. Now you can see it. There's the bushing right there. That rubber bushing is what causes catastrophic steering problems on the E36 and needs to be removed. So I'm gonna remove that. It should be like a 13mm bolt that holds it in place. And then the top should be the same. I removed the upper steering shaft bolt. There is also another one there, and there's another one on the bottom. So by taking this one off on the bottom, now I can tap the factory joint up so it will clear clearance so I can pull it out. After a little bit of struggle, I finally removed the steering shaft. It came out in 2 pieces. So I ended up disconnecting it from here. Got the top part off by like prying off from a little bit, very gently, from the brake boost because I didn't have anywhere else to pry from. And then the front, I just disconnected one of the 2 bolts on the rack, which will be, there's 2 bolts, one right there, and then one goes on the other side, which you can see it's missing. And then I can move the rack forward just enough. So I could like go with the hammer and screwdriver and just tap it up. It's the only way I could get it off. Once this is off, now we're ready to install the new unit. On the new shaft, I removed the locking bolts. That way, when I insert the shaft, I can make sure that I have an opening that make sure it's getting full contact into the thing. That way, when I put the locking nut or locking bolt, it presses on the shaft, and I make sure I have a secure and proper mounting of this piece. I installed the upper shaft E-joint. Make sure that the hole for the bolt goes into the groove. That way it locks in place with the shaft. Then for this little Allen bolt, it's gonna be a 4mm Allen wrench. You will probably want to use one of these since it has more clearance so you can get into the tight spaces. And be sure to use red high-strength thread locker on these bolts. That way they will not wiggle out while driving or anything. You don't want this coming off. The lower shaft end has been mounted. Now I can install the actual shaft itself. I'll put it on the bottom first. You will need to remove the driver's side rack and pinion bolt again so you can move the rack forward, and it'll give you enough clearance to put the shaft in through both sides. And now the shaft is connected. I can bring back the rack into place, and then after I do that, then I'll measure it all the way in the middle and then put the fasteners in. The steering shaft is fully installed at this point. The last thing I did was just wipe off the excess thread locker from the threads, so it looks clean and professional. Now I gotta do a test drive on this thing later. But first I have to put my intake pipe back together. Everything is reinstalled. Now let's test how the steering wheel feels. Now there's not that squishy feeling anymore. As soon as I turn the wheel, the front tires move with it. There's not like that little cushion anymore. It's perfect. So I have perfect feedback now. This will be a great mod for drifting, daily driving, and truck use. That way you don't have to be like doing this while corner. It's just perfect. You can just hold it. It's really good feedback on the steering wheel. I really recommend installing this steering shaft upgrade, as well as reinforcing the rear end to have a solid BMW drift car. With those 2 modifications, you can leave everything else stock. Those are the 2 primary things you should upgrade for safety and make sure your car stays together. To order the steering shaft assembly, go to www.sikky.com. I'll provide a link on the description below so you can get this awesome product and you have a solid drift car. This is pretty much what it's gonna look like on the website. So the price is $349.99. One thing I forgot to tell you guys about this steering shaft kit is that if you plan to do an LS swap or any V8 swap or even RB that has exhaust by the steering shaft, you will want to upgrade it because the stock one has that rubber bushing and it will melt or deform and you will lose steering. So get this part and you'll get rid of all your steering problems. Now that I'm done with the E36 steering shaft assembly, I can continue back to work on the, I can continue back to work on Nicole's car. I reinforced the subframe, the front radiator support thing. Like this is like was all messed up. I try to just like massage it a little bit to make it smoother, but it's as good as I could get it. I laid down some killer welds here. Let me see if I can get the brightness up. Here we go on this side. It looks a lot better here. So I boxed in the part that we cut, and then I have this L going back up, so it has a lot more support. I also, instead of having this tag welder, I welded it all the way, so it's really on here now. It's the same thing on the back. I did not skip the back. Also, I welded this whole area right here all the way back here. And I did the same thing, welded all the way from here all the way to the other side, so it's all nice and structural. This was also tag welded here, so I welded it again all the way through. Same thing on the other side, and it should be a lot stronger than the factory unit, and it's also low profile to fit the radiator.